Have you ever thought about not consuming animal products? Do you currently, or?
Yeah, it's like, that's the struggle. That's like the ongoing struggle.
What, giving them up?
Yeah, just because like it's so convenient, you know.
Right.
What's the difference?
Do you think that convenience is a justification for abuses like this?
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah. That's why we're out here talking to people, just showing people this footage, because obviously if you don't support what you're seeing on the screen, you wouldn't want to support it by purchasing these products, right?
Yeah, like I went through like a kick in high school where I was like, we watched footage and videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you try it and you go through it for a while and then you go back, you know, to certain things.
What was the hardest part?
What do you mean?
The hardest part to sticking with it?
Well, at the time being in high school, like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
But like, I don't know, like, sometimes too though, I feel like, well, if they've already been killed, or this product has already like been produced and like put into the stores and stuff, and it's already there, like,
Right.
me eating that is not gonna like prevent that animal.
That particular animal? But do you think that when you go to the store and you purchase products, do you think you're voting with your dollar in a sense?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you're co-signing. Like,
Yeah, you are.
basically co-signing because like somebody's eating it, so
Right.
there's a market for it, so let's keep it.
Exactly. So they're bred into existence because consumers are demanding these products. So a lot of people actually feel the way you feel, where they think that, well, the animal's already dead. So, but why? Like, would it be dead if people weren't continuously paying for this industry to continue breeding them into existence? So it's like we are implicit or complicit in it.
Girl, can you afford her? Nah, I mean, then you think about the shoes that you wear. You might not necessarily go out and buy like a leather jacket, but your shoes, your suede.
Right. Do you think that if there are alternatives, we should choose those alternatives?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like for me, like clothing is one thing.
Right.
When it comes to food, it's just like fewer options. I feel like, granted, people are doing better about opening up restaurants and catering to that clientele. Yeah, but see, they're in North Carolina where pig capital, it's meat everywhere. There aren't those options.
Right. Unfortunately, a lot of the CAFOs, they're called concentrated animal feeding operations, those giant factories out in North Carolina, for example, are incredibly polluting to the environment.
Oh, absolutely.
And they put them in like minority areas, and they're impacting, right, exactly. So it's like human rights abuses as well as animal abuses.
Oh, absolutely. Like when the hurricanes come and they flood those areas and then it seeps into the drinking water. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Well, you did bring up the convenience and lack of alternatives. Before I went vegan, I didn't see all of the alternatives that were out there because I just was accustomed to eating what I was used to eating, so I wasn't aware of all the alternatives. But once you kind of go down this road and start looking, you'll find that in a lot of areas, there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
Like I was in Wisconsin over the summer with my boyfriend, and he was convinced, we were going to a grocery store to pick up some things for dinner. He was convinced that we wouldn't find anything, like any vegan alternatives there, because we were in the middle of like rural Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And we come back with like vegan ice cream and vegan sausages and vegan butter and like all kinds of food. So it's like, you'd be surprised. Yeah.
Apple Crate. Or you could go to Fresh Market.
It doesn't have to be more expensive.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not, I won't call it the alternative, but it is kind of like you're not conforming, so it's almost like a punishment to eat healthy. Yeah, like
Right. Well, the government subsidizes unhealthy food, and that's why it is more expensive in some ways to eat like organic produce and like fancy vegan mock meats and cheeses, but you can do it pretty affordably if you're eating like beans and rice and potatoes, bananas.
I try and cook a lot
Yeah.
at home, like, and mostly like fresh veggies, alternatives, like, instead of doing chicken curry, I might just do it with like chickpeas. And
Exactly. Yeah. It's delicious.
It tastes just as good. But
It's healthier too. Right.
And I'm sure they're always talking about how much better like their gut health is and how much they feel different.
Yeah.
I'd like to give it up.
Right.
And as long as you get an alternative that's
For
like,
sure.
tastes similar or the texture is similar.
Or it's just satiating and right.
I could do it.
That's amazing.
I would do it.
Well, there's good news.
Yeah.
These alternatives exist.
Yeah.
And we have lots of resources. Would you guys be interested in doing a 22-day vegan challenge?
I'll try it.
Yeah?
Victor will do it.
So how it works, there's a website called vegan22.com. You go online, sign up, and they hook you up with a mentor. They can answer any questions you have, and they guide you, show you vegan restaurants in your area, give you like ideas for recipes depending on like what it is that you like to eat.
I mean, I'm in Denver, so there's
Very
plenty
cool.
of stuff, but like,
Cool. Well, I can give you a card as well if you guys aren't like going in the same place.
we'll definitely try this.
Yeah, you guys seem like you would be interested.
If they have like recipes
for
that
you.
I could like prepare myself, that would be cool too. It really, I mean, you feel different.
Have you ever thought about like our anatomy? Do you think that we resemble like other carnivores or other herbivores? Like in terms of our teeth.
Oh, I mean, we have flat teeth.
Right?
Plants.
Exactly.
Like
We don't have these like sharp
hairs,
canines.
Right, like to just
Yeah.
rip things apart. That's not what we're supposed to
Exactly. And we don't have like long claws.
Exactly.
We don't have carnivorous instincts.
No.
Like you wouldn't go out, pounce on a squirrel and like munch on its raw flesh, you know what I mean? We have to cook it and like season it and doctor it up with other foods to make it taste good because we're not natural like omnivores. We're naturally herbivorous if you look at our anatomy. Even our intestines.
Milk. Like, what
Right.
are you drinking? Cow milk? Like,
It doesn't make any sense.
Humans are the only ones that go out and eat another animal.
Yeah.
it's weird. I mean, of course, unless like an animal was like deserted or orphaned or something, and maybe another animal nursed it. But other than that, like out of necessity, we
Right.
don't have to do that.
Right. And a lot of people are intolerant to dairy. It upsets our
Exactly.
stomachs and
Exactly. So
yeah.
that makes sense. But yeah, we do almond milk anyways.
That's good.
If I can find like a good melty cheese.
Oh yeah, you should follow your heart. Follow your heart is my favorite. Do you guys have Sprouts in your area?
Yeah.
Sprouts has Follow Your Heart cheddar. It's like shredded cheddar cheese. It's the best.
Really?
So good. And it melts really well. Made mac and cheese the other night.
Try this.
Yeah. I would recommend going home. Have you guys heard of the film What the Hell?
Yes, it's on Netflix.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
I haven't watched it.
You should definitely watch it. It's not as
It'll
graphic.
totally make you, like,
My list.
It's not quite as graphic. Like I think they do have some footage, but it's more just educational, and it goes into like this corruption in the healthcare system and how there's so much money involved in these industries that are putting out misinformation and pushing like dairy products on communities that are like more lactose intolerant, and like it's really messed up.
I mean,
Yeah.
because it's for the almighty dollar at the end of the day. So.
Right. Well, thank you guys for considering it. I hope you go home and watch What the Health.
I had to stop and see what was going on because I was like, this is obviously something. And yeah, that'll stop you in your tracks. That kind of stuff.
I cut out meat for a while. Really? Like high school. I couldn't eat extra meat. I still can't eat eggs, really.
Well, you guys seem like you're on the right track towards cutting it all out.
As long as, you know, people are giving you those options in whatever areas you are and it's affordable and it's sustainable, I think more people could do it.
Of course.
But again, like if it's not conducive to making money or a profit, they're not going to do it. So, I mean, it makes sense. I've done research on like food deserts and stuff like that. And I mean,
There's another really cool vegan activist named David Carter. He's an NFL player. It's called like the 300-pound vegan. So he was having some health problems, and then that's what led him to a plant-based diet. But then he became an ethical vegan, and he does a lot of activism in like lower income areas and food deserts to make it more accessible for people to eat healthier. He's really cool. You should check him out.
And you get more people. I mean, Jay-Z and Beyonce went vegan. They do it every now and then, I think. Like, but no, just like, well, granted, they probably can afford a chef to make them delicious things.
Well, there is a distinction between plant-based and vegan. So plant-based diet, that's just you're following a plant-based diet for your health. But veganism is like an ethical stance against animal exploitation. So Beyonce and Jay-Z were promoting plant-based diet, which is amazing, especially because they have such a huge platform.
I know she's wearing that.
But we do have to make the distinction because veganism isn't a diet. Like it's a liberation movement. So we're standing up for these voiceless victims because they don't have like a political voice. So in a sense, we're like allies to them because they can't like stand up and form a movement themselves.
I mean, just think of it as if that was like somebody stole your dog and harvested it or something. I'm just thinking about that.
Right. It just doesn't make sense that we view certain animals like dogs in one way and then, it's like discrimination for any reason. Like there's no justified discrimination. Like it's not justifiable to discriminate based on like, you know, race or sexuality or like sex, whatever. So it's like, why are we discriminating based on like fur and scales and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like obviously animals aren't humans, like we're not advocating that they have all the same rights as us because, you know, they're not gonna have the right to vote or drive or anything, but we're just advocating that they have like basic rights to be left alone and not exploited, so.
Well, thank you.
Thank you guys so much. No worries. You guys have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Sign up for the challenge. If you do it together, it'll be a lot easier to stick to it.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Yo, how when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me tell them say me no eat no fish, no meat now. How when me eat them, I wonder when me yam. When me tell them say that I'm a vegan man. How when me eat them, I wonder when me eat. When me tell them say me no eat no fish, no meat now.